What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Final Fantasy 16 DLC. Now, not just the fact of will we, won't we get it, but I also want to pitch one idea, and it's something that I have seen online. There's been some really good Final Fantasy 16 DLC ideas, but I really like the idea of Jill. If we're going to be very specific, I like the idea of being able to play as Jill / Shiva, right? If you want to introduce the second half of these people, I think that would be absolutely amazing. So we'll come back to that. The first part, though, is, will we, won't we get the DLC? I do think we will. I mean, there's already been hints, and the way Yoshi P has talked about, well, they want reception first, and they're kind of up for making, changes, or they're up for adding things to the game later on, but they want to release the game, see how it does, see how people think about it, and go from there. I like that mentality. In some ways, it's like, well, you're going to have to wait longer, right? Because if they were already working on DLC a few months ago, you would have to wait less time. But I respect it, where it's like, well, if you're going to make DLC ahead of time, you don't know how the base game performs. Maybe there's something that people want to be changed. Maybe side quests is something that they would take a look at where, okay, well, if they're going to do Jill DLC, just maybe focus heavy on the story elements. Maybe, don't even waste your time with a lot of the side quests if they're to the quality of some of the worst ones in the game. Just don't even do them, right? So maybe some of those things, which I respect. I respect hearing people out first before you actually make it. With that being said, I think DLC would be very helpful in terms of even sales. There's back and forth of, is this game successful or is it not? All that kind of talk online. In fact, we talked about that a few days ago on the channel. I think it's successful. I think it's doing really well, but you could say, well, PC release, right? Obviously, releasing on PC is going to help the game a lot. And then I think having a couple, I don't want to get too greedy here. I'm actually fine with the base game. If we don't get DLC for Final Fantasy, I'm okay with it. I'm money well spent. You know what I mean? I really don't need DLC, but I definitely want it, I would say. So if this is all we got, that's totally fine. But DLC can help the game. I think also hearing people out, hearing what people say, and when people say, hey, I really liked Barnabas, or hey, I really liked this boss fight, or that thing, or Dion, right? There's a lot of people talking about Dion, his backstory when he was growing up. Maybe you do that as DLC, and a lot of things they kind of left open or ambiguous where you can take some of these dominants, basically, right? That's what we're talking about. One idea I've seen online is to take pretty much any of the dominants, or all of them, and kind of flesh out their characters a little bit more. Now, I think Jill makes the most sense because we are the most familiar with her. She is an ally versus often, actually, the rest of them are not ally. I guess Joshua, right? But outside of that, we have to fight them all. Dion becomes an ally, so I guess maybe you can apply it to him. But Jill just being such a fundamental character that you play with so much, a companion character, she helps you out in fights. We know her powers, and it's actually been well said, I think, online. We don't see the extent of her powers too much. You get a little peek towards the beginning-ish of the game, right? When you still don't really even know what's going on or what are these things, what are these titan, gigantic monster things, what are they, how are they connected? You see a little bit of it there. You see a little when she's helping Clive throughout the game, and there's some cool moments, but you never really see her full power because mainly she's going after people that are extremely powerful, more powerful than her, and also Clive is the one who's supposed to, be the one to take these people out, right? So she's always matched up against people that are too powerful for her. So I think it would be a cool idea to put her against people her own class, have her just go off, have some really cool boss fights, some of these Titan kind of gigantic fights, and go from there. Also, she's got an entire backstory, and I guess a lot of them do, right? When you have multiple time skips, you have it towards the beginning of the game, the 2-hour mark, and then even after the Sid stuff, right? There's that other 5-year time jump, and that's a lot of time, either one of those. I think probably not the 5-year one that we experience in the game, because I don't know, Clive would be, maybe that would be something, right? Because Clive would be there. Maybe you play as Jill and Clive as the companion. That would be rather cool, but you can't do anything too massive because you don't want to step on the feet of what the game is about to do. If you do it that first time skip when they're just children or teenagers and then they become full-grown adults. I think that makes the most sense. Obviously, she's in a rough spot during that time. She's being used and all that. So I think that would be a really interesting time period to explore. Specifically for her, you could probably use that time skip to explore any of the characters besides Clive, maybe even Joshua you could, to be honest with you, but maybe not Clive, but anybody else. I think that'd be a really good idea. So I've definitely seen the idea floating around that you just pick any of the dominants. You pick Titan, you pick Kupka, you pick any of these characters, and you could just do something with them. I think that's fair, or maybe just do it with all of them all in one thing. I think Jill specifically makes the most sense. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.